On this episode of AV Week, we are coming to you from the show floor of ISE 2019. We talk with Matt Scott, Margaret Owahi, and Justin Kennington about some of the trends happening at this year's biggest audio-visual trade show. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 289, recorded Friday, February 8th, 2019. ISE 2019.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Kramer, AV Beyond the Box, and by Bodio, a leading manufacturer of professional PTZ cameras, Pro AV Solutions, and UCC integration systems, and by Biamp.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host, coming to you from Amsterdam in ISE 2019. We've got a round robin of guests to speak to, but first and foremost, Mr. Justin Kennington from SDVOE. Welcome.
Put her there, Tim. How you been?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. 2 hours and a half.
Yeah, we're shooting this at like 1 o'clock Amsterdam time on Friday.
That's
so
right. That's right.
Just a couple hours left before the show.
But it's been a fun week that I'll be sad to see go, and also happy to be done with.
Let's talk about something for a second, because you and I ran into each other 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Right as you were starting with what was now the AVNation company.
Yep.
Well before SDVOE even existed.
Correct.
Talk about that transition and this show and how you guys have used this show to kind of roll out SDVOE, because you announced SDVOE 2 years ago, right before this show.
You got it. Yeah, so that's right. 3 years ago, I just started at a company called AVWeek, since been acquired by Semtech, and we're chipset manufacturers, right? We build the chips that are at the core of what is now SDVOE, right? So way back then, 3 years ago, we sort of recognized that the way to help a new technology like ours, which is for AV over 10 gig networks, right? A way to make sure a technology like that can get the kind of exposure it needs to really disrupt the market, which is what we're trying to do, is to bring a group of people in around it, right? Not just be one voice shouting, hey, look at this great technology, right? But to get more folks together and start to build a consortium to sort of build a standard, right? And build a consensus on how we as an AV industry are going to approach this next generation of moving AV over IP. So we started with our 6 founding members, and those are Aquantia, Netgear, Sony, Christie Digital, ZV, and Semtech. Was AVWeek, now Semtech. And what those companies share in common, if you think about it, it's not the kinds of products they build, right? They're all over the map. But it's really this shared vision that we can transform the matrix switch by getting rid of that big chunk of metal and plastic hardware at the middle of an AV system, replacing that with an Ethernet network, while maintaining the kind of performance that we've always demanded in that application.
How important has this show been to developing those relationships? You mentioned that you had 6 founding members, right?
Yeah.
All of those folks are showing here.
Right.
Right. Some of those conversations had to have taken place here. How important is that?
That's right. Yeah, we've since that 2 years ago, we've grown from 6 to 41 members, and I don't have a count for you, but I'm sure that more than half of those guys got sold on the vision, right, at this show or at the Infocom show. But I remember last year, PureLink signed up right here on the show floor, right, as they sort of saw the momentum of the alliance, saw the momentum of that problem that we're trying to solve, right? How do we move over Ethernet networks in an effective way? And they said, hey, we've got to get in on this. So the show gives a ton of exposure to the alliance, but really to that message, which is that we don't need a matrix switch anymore.
Something else you guys are doing is, you and I talked about this when we visited your stand, is you're developing education.
Yeah.
And it's online education, and I want to highlight that specifically here in Europe, in EMEA, because you guys are rolling that out globally because it's on your site.
That's it.
It's on the internet.
Time zones don't matter on the internet.
Yeah. How important is that to offer it on demand so folks, regardless of where they are, can learn more about your system and how to design
I think the reality is like anything, man. It's about convenience, right? And I can tell you all day how wonderful the Alliance is and how great our technology is, and that's all true.
Just for the record, tell me all day.
And that's all true, but the more that I have to make you invest to check it out and to try it, just the more that's constraining our ability to grow, right? So we recognize there's a huge knowledge gap in the AV industry, right? And it's especially around the topic of AV over IP. So what we did is we created this thing we call the SDVOE Academy. And as you said, it's free, it's online, and it's training not just on SDVOE. Of course, we have some very specific SDVOE training modules in there, but there's also training on just some of the basics of networking, some of the basics of AV networking, right? What is a multicast? Do you really know? Do you really understand it?
No,
Let's talk about it.
Take your class
and explain that. And further, just on the pure video side, the course we're launching next week is on chroma sampling.
Okay.
Right? We talk a lot about 444 and 422 and 420, but
defining what the chroma sampling is, because those are the three numbers that everybody and their brother. And I'm not going to throw anybody in the bus with it, but every AV over IP system in this building. Is going to talk about those three numbers.
Right. And so, let's be honest, if we take a survey of all the thousands of people in this hall, how many really know what those things mean?
That one I do know.
Okay.
That one I do know.
Okay, so there's one. I do too. That's two.
There's two. Now we have a quorum.
Oh, so perfect. You know what? Actually, so we're not going to put that course up next week, now that we've determined that one's unnecessary. And that's thanks to what we've learned here at ISE. No, I'm kidding. So there's about 20 courses available on SDVOE Academy right now.
Okay.
And we've just built out a schedule. We're going to be releasing one new course every week for the next year. And that includes next week's is chroma sampling.
Excellent. All right, sir. I'm going to let you get back to your booth. If somebody wants to find out more about you, no, just SDVOE.
Good luck. There's nothing true about me on the internet. I've seen to it personally.
I have a file. They find out more.
People know. The internet doesn't know.
How do people find out about SDVOE?
Find us at sdvoe.org or on Twitter at SDVOE.
All right, next up we have my buddy Matt D. Scott, who I've been hanging out with all week. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm tired. How are you? No, we've been running around for 4 days, and not to thank you. I appreciate that. And also with us is the extraordinary Mr. Margot Duwahi.
Thank you for having me.
PhD candidate. Yoga instructor.
Defense in April.
Yeah, defense in April.
Doctor in June.
Call me doctor. Everybody's going to have to
Doctor?
call me
Doctor. I can start now, Dr. Margot, or Dr. Duwahi. Ooh, Dr. Duwahi.
I like it. I love it. Now I just have to pass the defense.
Alliteration. I like alliteration.
Oh, you'll be fine.
All right. So I'll start with Margot. This is a departure for you this time around. Usually, you were the editor of AV Magazine, all right, AV Technology. This time around, you're working with BeesBuzz. You're hanging out with us. You're doing a bunch of other stuff. How was this ISE for you?
So this ISE has been so different because I usually am zigzagging around seeing about 20 different companies per day. But I honestly liked the ability to have a set of focused inquiries that I kind of attacked. So I'm doing a research piece for AV Technology on IT deployment style AV. So IT perspectives on enterprise grade deployments. So I had a focused list of folks that I interviewed for that. I'm also writing some case studies with BeesBuzz, so I got the opportunity to get into the weeds with the engineers. And I just saw, the industry that I love from a slightly different perspective. And I like the ability to have a little quiet time instead of the frenetic chaos of running around. But I didn't get to see as much. That's the big sort of area that I missed. Usually I cover so much ground. So I just have to flip through the ISE daily and talk to everybody and just glean as much of the trends as I can from all the conversations that I have, the networking, the dinners, and just asking folks, what did they see, and having conversations around that.
Yeah. Speaking of frenetic, that's you running back and forth between the 15 halls now. When you and I started this, there was swell.
Yes.
Not saying that they added any more because of us, but they added more
was
because
us.
of us.
Yeah.
And they broke 80,000 while we were
Also because of us.
Yes. What were one or two things, to Margot's point, about a theme or an overarching idea at this show?
Ooh, I hate to just completely echo your point, but we are surpassing AV over IP and going into that, to steal a line from Kramer, AV over IT.
Okay.
And they're all in on, as far as the manufacturers, are all in on, we are putting this on the network. We are giving you network level, like true IT level tools to manage and deploy our products. Now, the flip side of that, and this is the trend that should honestly concern everyone in this, especially the commercial, specifically the commercial side of the industry, is by doing that, they've made it even easier for IT to come in and just take this business and take a very strong hold on meeting room technology, because it's no longer really just about, the audio aspect and the video aspect. That's secondary to the network. And we've said it for years, and everyone has kind of catered to that, but they're not realizing what they're walking themselves into. That's been the biggest trend on the residential side. I haven't seen a huge trend other than we continue to see the high end, and not necessarily crazy high end luxury, but that gradual shift to the high end, and everything mid-market and entry level continuing to go back more towards DIY and that entry level area. It's just following the money.
Marco, you guys both said something about IT and the strength of the IT elements from manufacturers. I'm doing a panel in about an hour from now with 4 manufacturers. One of my questions is going to be, what can manufacturers do to help integrators create a safer AV network? So what can they do?
I think it's about cross-pollination of skill sets. I think it's about creating educational tracks that are absolutely focused on network security, on subnet masking, on domain management. A variety of courses are available through the manufacturers. Some are product agnostic, but Kramer has an AV over IP certification that installers and end users can explore. I think we need more education. I think manufacturers have to get behind that, and again, not necessarily orbiting around a particular chipset or a product, maybe a solution. Obviously you need to be trained on it, but just elevating the knowledge base of the industry and encouraging hybrid teams. Saying if you're looking for new talent, are you pulling in from the IT world? This is what I'm hearing from my readers at AV Technology, who are AV managers and IT managers. And I interviewed the IT manager of EverFi, which is an ed tech software based in DC. And he believes, for him, AV is an IT property because of the proliferation of Zoom, because of the proliferation of UCC, and it's moved from capital expense to operational expense. And it's all under his purview.
Well, just pay attention to who signs the checks, honestly. Yeah. I'm not saying anything about the technology, or I'm not saying anything about, but who signs the checks for the AV integrators today? And the vast majority of those people that are the people signing off are IT directors.
And it's mixed. I hear still AV and IT are adjacent. AV and IT will never be one. And then I hear the exact opposite often from IT directors that say, we're making the purchase decisions. It has to be network friendly. It has to be something we can easily manage. It has to be something we can centrally deploy. If you have 1,000 rooms, like we drove by in the taxi last night here in Amsterdam, the Deloitte building.
Yep.
It is an absolutely gorgeous building. I can't imagine there are less than 700 rooms in there. If each one has Zoom, I don't know what soft codec they're using or whatever, but imagine, as an IT director, you want to think about central deployment, you want to think about remote management. And so, again, for the manufacturers that want to help elevate the industry, but I don't know, it brings to mind then, is IT encroaching too much? Can
you stop it if it is?
Is it like the genie you can put back into the bottle?
Nope.
Probably not. But then
No, you can't.
And are you seeing that too?
Yeah, you're never going to stop IT, because the bottom line is they have bigger budgets. They have the ear of your your client, even if it's not them.
Yeah.
If you think that your client is, to use the Deloitte example, the CEO of Deloitte, he's not your client. He's not listening to you, and respectfully, he doesn't care. He just wants it to work. And you know who makes stuff work for him? It's not their local AV contractor, it's their IT director. And at the end of the day, if I can come back to your earlier question about what can we do as an industry to manage security and help this, I'm going to be really blunt. We keep thinking we hire a couple of IT people and that makes us an IT company and we have some skills in that. We don't. We are not the experts here as much as we want to tell everyone we are. We're not. We can't hire enough IT people to come in and make this work. Everything that we do is no longer, heading over speaker wire and heading over video signal like HDMI cables and all of that. It's ones and zeros, it's binary. It's running across the network, and your network division should be your biggest division within your industry, within your company. And I hate to sound so negative on it, but it's key.
Practical.
You continue to sit back and say, oh no, we're going to hire audio engineers because we're an audio company that's running over the network. You're making a dumb decision. You need to start continuing to expand and grow and bring in high-level IT talent. And I mean seriously high-level IT talent. You need to be poaching the same guys Cisco's going after, the same guys that Microsoft and all of these major companies are going after, because if you can't support it, if you can't prove to these big companies, and that's where the money's going to be, but if you can't prove to these massive companies that you have better security in their network switch, they will go to whoever their IT director in-house seems to think is better than you.
Yeah.
And you will never win that fight.
To that point, I would add, stay on top of the IT trends also that are absolutely outside of traditional AV work. But here at ISE, CompTIA, Jim Hamilton of CompTIA delivered the top trends, the 10 trends that CompTIA has researched and believes are going to drive 2019 for the next couple of years. Ambient computing, et cetera. A little bit of overlap with Gartner, but if you're talking about, really investing in that high level, I think it behooves the companies that are here that are promoting their seamless switches at 1 gig or 10 gig or whatever, and also the QSEs, the BIAMs, everybody, staying on top of the IT trends. And that again is like casting a wider net, but I think it ultimately is going to maybe help pivot where needed, offer the solutions that still add value, because AV's the magic. I don't think IT's that sexy, I'm sorry. Like I have a Zappolito array tattooed on my wrist. Like I like audio, video. Yes, I like that it's also digital, but there's a worry, is it going to get too anesthetized? Is it going to become too commodified? And so I see the AV over IT as the trend, very, very much the trend, but I also look at, ways to keep it special, magical, and I think that's possible. It's going to take creativity.
All right, before I let you two get out of here, Matt, one word to describe this year's ISE.
Ooh, I hate these with a passion. My God, do I hate these.
2 words then.
Incredibly exciting.
Okay. Margo?
Cautiously optimistic. Come on. No.
Yes.
She also writes poetry too.
Oh,
so
yes. Yes, in place. So I could act it out. 2 words to describe ISE 2019. New challenge.
New challenge.
New challenge.
All right. Very good. Mr. Matt Scott, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How do people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt A. Scott and every other social platform pretty much.
Very good. It's Margo Dewahi.
AV technology is where I write the most. I also write for AVNation, so avnation.tv, avnetwork.com, and find me on LinkedIn.
Very good. My name is Tim Albright. For more information about us, and I've said this once, Matt and I have said this 1,000 times, for more videos from the show
Please visit
avnation.tv. Go by there. You can find our supporters. These are folks who support us financially, and we appreciate their support. They help us bring you Integrated Systems Europe 2019, DSE now for the 3rd year in a row, and InfoComm come June. Also, while you're there, check out Matt's show.
ResiWeek.
It's a residential look at the AV industry. Post every single Wednesday, and my show, this show, AVWeek, posts every single Monday. So all that and more at avnation.tv, avnation.tv.